This tastes really weird.
All right, so today our goal is to be able to navigate the standard form equation for a circle. So we already talked about Plato. He gave a specific definition for the circle around 353 BC, similar to what we use today. A circle is the set of all blank points. The set of all points that are a distance r from a given point, the center. Good, the center of a circle. So we used the blank theorem to derive the formula. Yes. Pythagoras and Plato back together. Pythagorean. We had Plato here.
Oh, we get to play with Play-Doh?
And so the standard form of the equation of the circle is that we calculated, or that we came up with in the opener, was x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And with this formula, the center of the circle is h. Okay, so I'm gonna, that capital C is the standard for center. This should look somewhat familiar, right? This part right here remind you of anything?
What we did in our
Parabola.
Oh,
Parabola.
okay.
Good. So we already know that we're going to have to do the opposite, right, of the values when it's in those parentheses. So that's to come. The special circle that we wrote an equation for had a center of 0, 0. And this is our parent circle. If the center was 0, 0, then we could plug in those zeros and simplify that to get our mother parabola. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. That's centered at the origin. Now this is something that often people, when we get to the homework assignment, you're going to really do well to refer back to that equation right there. That's the one, just like our vertex form of the parabola. You want to keep track of your notes and keep track of that particular equation. So for example, the equation of a circle C is x plus 3 quantity squared plus y minus 4 quantity squared equals 49. Identify the center and radius. So the center of that circle is opposite of what's inside. So the h value of your center would be negative 3. And the k value is positive 4. The radius of that circle is, keep in mind this value right here is r squared. So r would be the square root of 49, or 7. So we have the radius and the center. We'll do another example. For example A, it also asks us to find the radius and center. It says round your answer to the nearest tenth. So the center for this one would be negative 7, comma, negative 1, doing the opposite, with a radius of square root of 100. This is a common mistake. People just want to say, radius is 100. Don't forget to square root. The radius is 10. So I want you to go ahead and try B and C. Make sure you can do it. Again, for C, not a perfect square, you will need to use your calculator and round to the nearest tenth.
Just remember how I was supposed to. did it right.
Yay. Kyle?
Why do you want us to get a decimal of the square root rather than factoring?
Simplifying the radical?
Yeah, something like that.
Good question. The reason I asked you to find round to the nearest tenth is, if we were actually plotting this onto a graph, it's easier to estimate using a decimal than a radical, simplified radical. What is the square root of 12?
Oh, I don't know, but what I was gonna ask is, so, when, like, they give you an equation, basically, like, the center is gonna be the opposite of the sign in front of the number.
Yes.
So if it's negative, it'll be positive, and if it's positive, it'll be
Yep.
negative.
Yep. Key thing to remember. It's opposite. Square root of 12, what did you get rounded to the nearest tenth, Ben?
Is it, wait, which one?
Zach?
Oh, no.
3.5.
Thanks.
Oh.
All right, so there's our, check your answers real quick. Thumbs up if you're good. Okay, great. Next, going in reverse. So now we're given the center and radius. Can you create the equation given the center and radius? So again, we're doing the opposite. So the 3, the h value is 3, the k value is -6. We plug those in. The 3 goes here, the minus sign's already there, we're good. The y minus -6, so y minus -6, you can kind of see that's going to become a plus. And then the radius is 2, we're going to square that. I'm going to write it a little bit simpler in the next line. So the quantity x minus 3 squared plus the quantity y, I call this double dash, y plus 6 squared equals 4. Next one. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 3.5 squared. We know it's going to be somewhere close to 12, right? But a little bit greater. What is 3.5 squared? Anybody calculate that one? Ben, thanks. 12.25. Do letter C on your own.
I don't know, probably.
All right, C.
Oh my god, we should sing.
Who's got C?
Me.
Oh,
Thanks, Michael.
Oh. Okay. I did in parentheses x plus 2. I did plus.
Did you square it?
Yeah. I did.
Okay, great.
And then I did plus y plus 8 squared equals 5.
Great. Done. Okay, so there's two pieces. You've been given an equation and found the radius and center. You've been given the center and radius and created the equation. Now we have the graph. Make special mental note of the axes and their scale. The axes have a scale of 2. Good. So when we find the value of the radius, that's good to keep in mind. Step 1, when you're actually given a graph like this, just like when we were given the parabola on the graph and you were told to create the equation, what was the first thing you looked for on that graph of the parabola? The vertex. Good. So you looked for the vertex, you wrote that down, you labeled it HK, and then you just put it in to the equation. So for the center of this circle, it's -4, -4. So you write that down. The radius, like I said, the scale is 2, so the length of the radius here is 2. Just because this scale is 2. Yeah. So radius is 2, and then we plug it into the formula.
Why is it 2?
Because the scale of the graph is
Oh, okay.
increments of 2.
I was confused too.
All right, so then we plug it in. I'm going to go ahead and do, since this is a -4, I'm going to change this minus sign to a plus. So it's going to be a +4. Same with the y minus -4, that's going to become a +4. And then radius is 2, so 2 squared is, man, lots of 4s in this one. 4. 4, 4, 4. Okay. So that is your equation for the circle on that graph. Example 4, try that one on your own.
Why is it 3 and not 6? It's not
Got square.
This graph is going by ones.
Oh,
Gotta pay attention to each one.
Oh my god. What is, did you do that?
Yep. Alright, so hopefully you got something close to, well, exactly quantity x plus 3 squared. So identify the center first. Thumbs up if you got -3, 0.
Oh, wait.
Sweet.
What?
Center, good. Thumbs up if you got radius equals 3. Good. And then when you plug those values in, the one thing that's unique about this one is the 0 in the parentheses with the y. We can simplify that just to y squared, and you want to do that. Those are key things to simplify. So there you have it. The last thing that we can do to fully understand circles on the coordinate plane is to translate the circle. So similar, right, we did the jump ropes and meter sticks, similar to translating the parabola on the coordinate plane, we're going to translate these circles. Shape stays the same. Okay, so what would the radius be for question A? Radius would be 7. So if we're going to translate, radius is still 7. Now I recommend for these types of questions, kind of off to the side, drawing a little visual for yourself. It says this circle will be translated. So I've got this circle here. Looking at it, I go, oh, that's centered at the origin. Can you guys kind of see that? Since the parentheses aren't there, it's not shifted at all. It's actually already at the center. And the radius is 7. Then we're going to go up 5 units. This is not drawn to scale, people. Okay? So we're going to go up, 5 units left. 5 units left and 7 units up. -5,7 is our new center. And that's really all I need to do on that graph. It's just a visual reminder of what's happening here. The new center is at -5, 7. Once we have the center and we already know the radius, it makes it pretty easy then to plug into the equation. So now we have x plus 5 quantity squared plus y minus 7 quantity squared equals, since the radius remains the same, we still have a 49. R squared would be 49. So there's your equation. Try part B. Last one. And maybe you could look at this and identify what the center is without drawing it, but you're certainly welcome to do the sketching. That could help. Thumbs up if you got that one.